Oh, hello. Today we have a very exciting book haul because I have in my hot little hands all of the newest line of Penguin Clothbound Classic. So that's where we're gonna start because, I don't know, I'm excited and I wanna tell you guys about it. So I'm gonna go through all of the books, as you saw from the thumbnail. We're gonna go through all of them, but before we go through the individual titles, I wanna give you kind of my overall thoughts about this new line. So these are called Little Clothbound Classics. Actually, let's pick one of the ones that I have it arranged like a rainbow because why not? But let's pick one that I enjoy the look of a little bit more than that particular one. Okay, these are called the Little Clothbound Classics, and I should get a normal one to compare to. Hold please. Here are the 4 different flavors of Penguin Clothbound Classic. You've got your normal line, which is the biggest, it's like full-sized. You've got your poetry one, which is a little bit shorter than the regular, but still a little taller than these new little ones. And then you have your philosophy ones, which are still a little bit bigger. Here they are lined up from tallest to shortest. I'll try to have an image I put in here somewhere to give you guys a sense of the exact sizing differences. As you can surmise, this is the 4th Clothbound Classic line that Penguin has released, and this is the smallest, but also the least expensive of the line. So the only one that's the exact same price basically are the poetry collections. These are 10 pounds. This is 9 pounds and 99p. Is that right? So these are basically the same cost, but this is the poetry line. This is the non-poetry fiction line. The philosophy line, I believe they typically run for 12 pounds. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer. And I believe that all of the normal ones go for 20 pounds. So this is half the cost, but the idea from what I can tell of this line is basically it's a lower price point, they are smaller, and they are shorter. So it's like shorter classic works. In terms of my thought process on why they are doing this, I think that they are wanting to introduce, well, first of all, I'm sure that they're trying to get money from schmucks like me who are just gonna go for anything they do with Corley Bickford Smith. My guess is the thought process here is that they are looking for a more affordable line for people to collect because these are so aesthetically pleasing, and I would argue that the primary value of these is the aesthetic rather than a book that you can read and reread over and over again. Like, these are not designed quality-wise to be able to do that. You can see that the pages are glued in. I will say that I personally have never had a problem with any of the Clothbound Classics I have having their front stuff rub off. I get that comment a lot though, so I know that that is a common complaint. Just know that about these. That's not been my experience. I also tend to be a pretty ginger? I tend to hold my books pretty gingerly when I'm reading them because it was so drilled into me from my youth that I wanted to take books back to the used bookstore, so I would try to keep them in the best shape possible to get the most money out of them. So I tend to be pretty gentle on my books, so just know that. But these are not really, the main purpose of these I think is not to be edition of this book that you read and reread over and over again. It's primarily meant to be something that's collectible. At least that's my opinion. So my thought process here, my guess of the thought process that Penguin had is that they want to have a more affordable line for people to collect because these are pricey. Like these took me a long time to get my full collection up and going. I would get like a couple a month kind of a thing. And even now, like when they come out, you know, they're not the cheapest. So my guess is that they are looking for a way for people to have a more affordable option to collect for probably social media purposes. That would be my guess, or just like general decoration purposes. I mean, hello, look around my home. If you guys watch my videos, you know that my house is just like overflowing with books, and I like them as sort of like a decorative element of my home decor. So that's my guess is why they're doing these. And I think that that is a great idea. And I would say now that if the primary thing you are wanting to do is to collect a full line of clothbounds, I would say that this is the way I would go. They're more affordable. They still look beautiful on the shelves. They are smaller, so they're gonna take up less area if you need that. But especially if you're somebody who, like for instance, rents or moves around a lot and you don't wanna have a gigantic line of heavy classics to tote around, these are more portable, they're more affordable, and they still have beautiful covers, as you will see here in just a second. So my initial impression is that I think that this makes a lot of sense, and if I were to recommend somebody collect a Clothbound Classic line, this is probably the one that I will now point them to. I will say that I noticed that the feel of these is stiffer and feels less substantial than even what the normal cloth bounds are like, and they do not feel super like sturdy, the normal ones. These feel even less so, which again, I think goes into the price point. So just know that. My reiterating message here is that these are about the looks, not about something that you're gonna get a ton of use out of. I have read several of my Penguin Clothbound Classics and they held up fine to a single reading, but if I were gonna get an edition to like take notes in for class or to reference a lot and reread, this is not the edition I would recommend to people. But with all that being said, you guys know that I'm an absolute sucker for the Clothbound Classics, so I am ecstatic that these are out. I think that they're beautiful, and I'm looking forward to having a whole new thing to collect. It's been exciting. So let's just run, we're just gonna do the little rainbow here. So there are 11 in this, I think this is the summer drop. So I should say that they're putting these out in 4 seasons. I don't know if they'll keep building from there, but in the back it has a nice little listing of what the ones that are coming out in this initial drop were. There's 11 of those, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, there's 12. Oh wait, am I missing one? What's the one that I'm missing? Did I just not count these correctly? Oh, Passing. Oh guys, I'm still missing one. It must not have come in the mail yet. Okay, I thought I was showing you my complete collection. I pre-ordered these, so I must still be waiting for Passing. Tragique. Okay, well, my wind has taken out my sails a little bit. I thought I was about to show you the full collection, but apparently I'm still waiting for one of the ones I pre-ordered. I should note I pre-ordered these from Book Depository. But anyway, so there's 12 of them in each drop. So I have 11 of the 12 right now. I'll show you Passing when it shows up, I guess in next month's haul. But anyway, so I'm gonna show you these in the rainbow as I currently have it, minus Passing. So here's what the almost full collection looks like. Very beautiful. I think that this is a pretty good representation of the kinds of colors that we have seen in the main line, with a couple of exceptions. There's one particular that I think is a cool addition. So let's just start at the top and work our way down. So first we have Carson McCullers' The Ballad of the Sad Cafe. This is a mid-1950s Southern classic. I'm guessing that this is like a novella basically from Carson McCullers. Then we have Lady Susan by Jane Austen, which I believe that Lady Susan is included in the Love and Friendship and Other Youthful Writings edition that they have in the main line. I want to say that that is included in there, so FYI. But I think that this is a great addition to the color story that they have. I don't believe we have another sort of dusty pink like this in the collection, and I love the pens. Like, this is probably my favorite in this batch of them. So we have Lady Susan from Jane Austen. Then we have The Queen of Spades by Alexander Pushkin. Pushkin is a Russian author I have not yet read from, but have always meant to, so I feel like this might be a push for me to finally read one of his, but I also think that this is beautiful with the spades, obviously, as sort of a motif. Okay, then we have this very vibrant red, which we do have in the main line. I know the Confederacy of Dunces has a red kind of similar to this, but I think we've got red. I don't know how I feel about the dark with it, but it's Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death, so obviously the red is a very appropriate choice, and also there's like little ravens, which again for Poe I feel like is a logical choice. Then we have Sylvia Townsend Warner, or Lolly Willows, which I had never heard of before. This is from the 20s. Oh, actually the other subtitle is The Loving Huntsman. Maybe Lolly Willows is the author? Cannot figure out. Okay, sorry, I'm just apparently too stupid to figure this out today. But anyway, the coloring on this one really reminds me of Lady Chatterley's Lover from the main line. So this is a very similar kind of color palette as that one has. Then we have Cosmo Comics, yes, by Italio Calvino, who is a kind of like modern literature classic of Italian writers. And the coloring on this one reminds me a lot of the Don Quixote in the main line and the Utopia in the philosophy line. Then we have Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, which I love this yellow. I love it whenever it shows up. There's a few like this in the main line. 1984 comes to mind as one of those, but this bright, vibrant yellow. Then we have a Japanese classic called Hellscreen by Ryunsuke Akutagawa. And this, I believe, is short stories from the 20s. And this is one that might push me to read it because I'm trying to get better about reading some translated classics. So there's this one. There's another, is that the next one? No, but there's another Japanese short story collection that's coming up that I'm also interested in. Oh, and this bright green reminds me of I think it's the Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling that has this bright green kind of vibe to it, or maybe Day of the Triffids in the main line. It's that kind of really vibrant chartreuse slimy green. Then we have Of Ghosts and Goblins by, translated by Lafcadio Hearn in the 20s, and these are Japanese folk tales, so this one I'm also interested in. This is, I think, a unique kind of green. I don't know that we have, I'm trying to think, I don't think we have a green quite like this in the main line. It's sort of between an emerald and a hunter kind of green, so I like all of the greens, so I approve of this. I feel like in the main line we have way too many navies, so. And then we have Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. This is one of my all-time favorite short story collections, so I love to see that they included her. Again, nothing is coming to mind of this kind of darker green because it's different than Portrait of a Lady. It's different than The Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, I'm not sure that we have a green that's quite this kind of emeraldy color, so hopefully that portends of things to come. And then finally, we have The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and this is from the 20s. And I believe that this is basically told in verse, and it also has these really cool illustrations in it, which apparently are by the author from the original. So I thought that was a cool touch as well. And this one I think is closer to some of the greens that we have in the main line. Oh goodness, I want to say that one of the Charles Dickens ones might have kind of this color, so I think we have something kind of like this in the main line. So those are the 11 I have. I'm very disappointed that I just realized I'm still missing one. But what can you do? So anyway, that is all of my thoughts on the new Penguin Clothbound line that is coming out. Just so you know, and actually speaking of, I found another philosophy one that I picked up this month called The Nature of Things by Lucretius. This is now completing my philosophy line. I found this when I was putting all of these into my Amazon storefront. So I think that that should be a pretty complete, not perfectly complete, but pretty complete listing of all of the Clothbound classics that are out there across the 4 lines. I believe should be in there at this point, at least the ones I could find on Amazon. So if you're looking for a one-stop shop, especially those of you in the US, because these are a little harder to track down, like these aren't really sold in stores all that often. So yeah, if you're looking for that, that is in my Amazon storefront. And then I also, when I was looking for all of them, found that I'd somehow missed from one of the original lines, one of the classics. Now this doesn't have the two-tone, so I wonder if this was a newer edition. Well, this is certainly a newer edition. Let's see, when did they print this? It doesn't say when they printed this one. But anyway, the original philosophy line had this sort of like two-tone matte quality on the books, but this doesn't have that. But I should now have all of the philosophy ones, all of the Clothbounds that are in print. So that was the most exciting part of my haul this month, but I do have other exciting things to show you. Those have just been on pre-order since I got the ISBN numbers months and months ago, so they have been trickling in. But let's talk about the other things that came in this month. So first of all, I got 4 books as a part of my Tournament of Books vlog that I put up. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had such a good time filming that and such a good time getting all of that organized. It was really fun, and I might do it again next year. We'll see. I haven't checked. It just got posted and I haven't checked to see what the feedback is yet, but hopefully you guys liked it, and I certainly did. And I bought and read all 4 of these for that vlog this month. I got The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I originally had this as an ebook, but I really enjoyed it. And because I'm going to keep going in the series, I picked up the whole trilogy. So I read this. I read The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, which I also really enjoyed. I gave this 4 stars, and probably my second favorite Ruth Ware I've read so far. Know My Name by Chanel Miller was absolutely beautiful and completely devastating to read. So make sure you're in a good headspace when you dive into this one, but it was as good as everyone said it was. Definitely my favorite of that reading project. And then The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. I had never heard of this before, but I thought this was pretty charming, if a little bit emotionally manipulative, but it's about cat and we get cat POV, and it was very charming and lovely. So, you know, I'm a crazy cat lady, so I'm the right audience for this one. So bought and read all 4 of those this month. And then I had 2 pre-orders that I'd already read come in. So one is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I hadn't originally bought this when it came out in August because I had the Book of the Month Club edition from the first book, and I didn't really want a paperback to go with it. But then this ended up getting picked as the Book of the Month Club pick for September. So I have a matching copy with The Love Hypothesis. I really enjoyed this still. I didn't like it as much as The Love Hypothesis. They're very similar books, and Ali Hazelwood has a tone and a writing style that for me just really works. It's very reminiscent to me of fan fiction, which is I think where she started, and there's just this sort of like very idiosyncratic voice to what she does that works for me, but definitely won't work for everyone. So I got that, and then the Berkeley edition of Barbarian Mind by Ruby Dixon came out. I am loving this edition. I'm loving these covers. They're so wonderfully illustrated, especially for sci-fi romance where, you know, you can't have a literal alien cover model. I feel like illustrated is the way to go, and I feel like they've been doing a great job with these. So excited to have this. I'm hoping we're gonna still be getting more of these in the series. Okay, so then some other pre-orders that I have not yet read, but that I do have plans for. So first of all, Desperation in Death by J.D. Robb. This is the 54th or 55th book in the In Death series. I have gotten a heads up that this is a really intense one. I believe it has sort of like a Jeffrey Epstein type plot to it, so just beware. But I absolutely love this series, and so, you know, we get this blessing of a book from us twice a year from Lenora, and thank God for it. So I will definitely be getting to this sooner rather than later. Then the 7th bind-up of Monstrous also came out. And yeah, I'm gonna be reading this in October for a part of a TBR that you guys will see in a different video. But yeah, love this series. One of my all-time favorite fantasy series, long running and still very high quality. Okay, and then I do have a few books here that I have a specific plan for, and that is 3 books from Attica Locke. I've got The Cutting Season, I've got Bluebird, and I've got Blackwater Rising. So this is for a specific video and also for a specific reading challenge that's coming up in October. So stay tuned, you'll hear more about this, but I haven't read anything from Attica Locke before, and I'm really excited to finally dive in. Okay, and then also just some random ass books here to wrap things up. So because of my love of Nettle and Bone, I've had a number of T. Kingfisher books on my radar, and I feel like I've gotten kind of permission to just go for it. So I picked up 2 to add to my TBR, in addition to another one I have, which is The Hollow Place. I've got A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. This seems adorable. It got the 2021 Lodestar Award for Best Young Adult Book. So it's a young adult fantasy, and I don't know. It just the name honestly was enough for me to be intrigued. And then the other one I picked up was Paladin's Grace, which I believe is sort of like, I'm not sure if it's fantasy romance or fantasy with a heavy romantic element, but it is a high fantasy series from her. And the tagline is When a God Dies, Who Gets Left Behind, which I think is a cool tagline. And just a reminder, I just feel like her range is pretty amazing. Yeah, she goes from kind of fantasy borderline horror all the way to what seems like whimsical young adult fantasy. There's a lot of romance stuff. So I'm just very excited to explore her full backlist and just enjoy it, because I'm fairly confident that I have a good vibe or a good feeling that she's going to become a favorite author. Speaking of favorite authors, there was a huge price drop on this first book in a trilogy from Robin Hobb, which is the Soldier Son trilogy. The first one is Shaman's Crossing. I think I picked this up for like $9.50. I will say that I have heard that this is not her best work, so I know that this is somewhat of a divisive book, but I love Robin Hobb's writing, so even if it's not a favorite, I can't imagine a world where I have a bad time in a Robin Hobb book. So eventually, when I make some more progress on my series TBR, I will get started on this trilogy. Certainly after I finish The Realm of the Elderlings. Like, once I finish that, maybe I'm gonna finish that next year. So maybe in 2024, I'll get started on this from Robin Hobb. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Baron the Nightingale I really enjoyed, and therefore I'm definitely going to continue in the series. So I went ahead and grabbed book 2 and book 3. I've heard that actually Baron the Nightingale is probably the weakest of the 3, so that makes me pretty excited to see where this goes. I'm gonna hold off on reading this until we are truly in fully cold weather. We're kind of there, like it definitely feels like fall. It officially has like become fall in Tennessee, but I'm gonna wait until it's a little colder so that I can snuggle up with these, because it is a very atmospheric high fantasy series that is based in Russian mythology. And then finally, I haven't read from Ken Liu before. I am fairly confident that I'm gonna like his stuff, and I've heard great things about this particular collection, so I don't remember why I decided to go ahead and pick this up, but it's been on my radar for a while, and I went ahead and bought it. that was my very exciting haul from last month. Let me know what you thought about any of these books. I hope my thoughts about the new Clothbound line was helpful to you guys. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!